Everyone knows the nicest person in the office. They readily take on the extra weekend shift, they never argue about where to get lunch, and they will endlessly accommodate everyone else's preferences to keep the peace. But underneath that agreeable exterior, there is a heavy physical and emotional cost. Constantly erasing your own needs breeds deep exhaustion. It manifests as severe migraines, sudden bouts of self-pity, and a quiet, simmering passive aggressiveness. This rigid level of accommodation functions as a survival mechanism, triggered by a deep-seated fear that being authentic will lead to rejection. Psychologists refer to this as the love mask. It operates as a pseudo-solution, where a person uses total compliance to manufacture a false sense of safety. To understand why being so agreeable actively destroys a person's inner peace, we have to look at the exact environment where this behavior was forged. Meet Alice. She is a young child growing up in an emotionally volatile environment. When she is loud or asks for what she wants, she faces a highly critical, towering parent. Through trial and error, Alice runs a behavioral experiment. She learns quickly that asserting her own needs brings terrifying danger. But if she drops her shoulders, yields, and cries, she finds immediate safety. Her parent positively reinforces this submission. The imposing adult softens, stops yelling, and rewards her helplessness. This diagram maps the unconscious contract forming in Alice's mind. One path shows assertion leading to danger. The other shows compliance leading to safety. This solidifies into her idealized self-image. To survive, she must always play the perfectly selfless girl. A psychological strategy brilliantly designed to survive a temporary childhood threat becomes an inescapable, invisible prison in adulthood. Fast forward 20 years. Alice is 30, and that childhood survival strategy has completely rigidified into her adult personality. She is completely unaware she is wearing a mask. Psychologists identify a hidden driver in this behavior called the covert demand, a system where every act of kindness is tied to an unspoken expectation. This scale shows the love mask's math. Alice places total self-sacrifice on one side. On the other, she expects absolute loyalty. When people fail to fulfill that debt, the transaction collapses. The niceness was an unagreed-upon loan. This unpaid emotional debt triggers what is known as the lower self. It is a massive, hidden reservoir of repressed anger and shadow that Alice has been building up for years. This lower self leaks into her daily life. When people don't read her mind and reward her sacrifices, she falls into deep self-pity, feels intensely victimized, and punishes with the silent treatment. Erasing our own needs to keep the peace never actually creates harmony. It only guarantees the growth of deep, toxic internal resentment. To heal, Alice cannot wait for the world to stop demanding things of her. She has to practice radical self-responsibility and change her own responses. The first step is self-observation. The next time a coworker asks her to work late, she catches the automatic yes jumping to her lips, and she notices the tight knot of fear sitting in her stomach. Next, she has to face that lower self. This requires a painful, courageous admission. Her people-pleasing is actually a manipulation. She is trying to buy their approval. From there, she begins dismantling her idealized image. She accepts her human limitations, letting go of the exhausting need to play the perfectly selfless saint. The climax of this process is terrifying. She risks her real self by setting a firm boundary and saying no. She feels intense temporary anxiety, fearing she will be hated, but she survives it. On the other side of that anxiety is a state of genuine love. Now, when Alice helps someone, she does it because she truly wants to. Her yes means yes, and her no means no, entirely unclouded by the fear of being disliked. True inner peace and emotional resilience can only exist when we stop trying to purchase safety with our compliance and finally take responsibility for our authentic selves.